Some people tonight are in extremely desperate conditions. Their homes have been destroyed. Just to give you an example, we're getting some new numbers in. FEMA, the federal government essentially, has given out more than $18 million, most of it for rental assistance. That means people have nowhere to live. They're getting federal money so they can rent a house. I want to bring in Bob Vila, the original host of This Old House and the star of Home Again. You know more about houses than just about anybody in America. One of the shocking things I read from the FEMA administrator, quote, a lot of folks who flooded did not have flood insurance. Why not?
Well, there's a lot of homes that have been built in the last 50 years that are essentially at the beach. I mean, people before World War II would have summer cottages, but they weren't necessarily out there on a sand dune. And when you have, colonies of these houses that are built where nature did not intend us to build, you are going to have situations where they wash away. And because of climate change, and I am a firm believer in the realities of climate change, and as long as we don't control our greenhouse emissions and everything else, we're going to be looking, like Governor Cuomo said, at these once-in-a-century storms every other year.
But let me get back to my question. Why do people who live at the water on the beach do not have flood insurance? We're hearing this from the FEMA director. A lot of folks who flooded did not have flood insurance. That's called burying the lead right there. That's a big issue.
No, it is a huge issue.
Why not?
It's a combination of answers. I think one of the answers is that a lot of these houses shouldn't have been built there, as I was saying, in the first place, because they are going to wash away. Private insurers certainly are not going to issue any kind of insurance coverage on houses that they figure are so risky that they can't take the risk. In terms of government programs for flood insurance, I think the majority of homeowners around the coast do qualify for that type of insurance.
Let me ask you quickly. If somebody doesn't have flood insurance and they've got a house that is decimated, what do? They hire a carpenter and say, get to work?
Well, it's such a devastation that it isn't like anybody can just go back into a neighborhood like we've seen here where half of the houses are off their foundations and hire a carpenter. It's got to be a much more concerted effort. That's why FEMA is putting out all this money to help people relocate. It isn't necessarily going to mean that you're going to go out and rent a house for the next 12 months. You might just have to get yourself into a motel or hotel room for the next 12 weeks or 2 weeks until you can start rebuilding your lives. But all these houses that we're looking at out there that are off their foundations, you can't just fix them overnight.
Unbelievable.